fight scenes. There is a certain type of energy produced in a fight that can't be replicated literally any other way than physical violence. Whether it be a well thought out, calculated, years-long war with multiple different parties, or ready to throw down one-on-one in the McDonald's lobby because how fucking hard is it to leave the pickles off my goddamn Big Mac? You literally took more effort to put the damn pickles on! I mean, there's a reason shit like the UFC consistently rakes in millions of viewers every year, with a single fight sometimes netting in the hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. There's just an animalistic sense of adrenaline we get seeing two parties duke it out with each other that can't be portrayed convincingly in any other manner. Every Gen Z Redditor's favorite 2000s show, Breaking Bad, is a great example of this. While the whole show Walter is trying to conceal his true identity from Hank, despite their many ups and downs, on the surface, they still operate under the same team. I mean, they're family, they go to each other's house for dinner, they support each other when money's tight, they look after each other's children, they overall function as allies, not enemies. But once Hank realizes of Heisenberg's true identity, with just a single punch, the entire dynamic between Walt and Hank has completely changed, without a word ever being said between the two. Not only was this a really great, memorable scene because of how exhilarating and unexpected it was, it also goes to show just how, no pun intended, hard-hitting fight scenes can be for the narrative of any given story. Even in a show like Death Note, where it feels like the two main characters, Light and L, are in constant mental warfare with each other, the fact that not a single punch is thrown between the two makes it feel all the less potent to when Brad Pitt slams some emo bitch into a coat hanger once upon a time in Hollywood. And this actually was the very scene that made me realize I loved fight scenes. I still remember seeing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood while it was still in theaters with my mom and my sister. At the time, I was pretty young and had heard of Quentin Tarantino, but never actually watched any of his films at that point. I remember I could feel an instant shift in the audience's energy when the scene occurred, going from laughing at an almost comedic feeling fight to wincing in sheer uncomfort the second Brad Pitt slammed that girl's head in. Ugh. And if I'm gonna mention Brad Pitt in fighting, I'm basically obligated to mention Fight Club, or maybe I shouldn't.
The first rule of Fight Club is
pussy! Fight Club is just such a masculine movie from front to back. So of course the fights are these sweaty, testosterone-filled beatdowns with no shirts and no rules. The idea of a club where everyone must fight each other for no other reason than to just fight each other proves my point in the power of a fight to a T. The people of Fight Club are so hollowed out and numb to their lives that they start fighting to just do something and to feel anything. Anyone who's ever been in a fight will tell you it's not fun! Getting hit hurts, it's not pleasant. But despite this, the sense of meaning derived from a meaningless at best and extremely harmful at worst endeavor such as fighting is unmatched, kin to nothing. Why do you think fight scenes are almost always the most important moments in a story? I mean, seriously, think about it. What's the climax to your favorite series? More often than not, it's some variation of physical combat. Partly because, well, fight scenes are fucking awesome, but partly because that's just the most raw way we as humans have solved conflicts since the beginning of time. Someone could scream a million different insults at you, and you probably wouldn't bat an eye, but one good punch to the face and oh, you'll feel that one. Now, I can't go a whole video about fight scenes without mentioning anime at least once. You ask any anime fan what their favorite moment in their favorite shonen is, and 10 out of 10 times it's going to be a fight scene. And yeah, that's definitely a big draw for anime. It's what got me interested in it. You think Jujutsu Kaisen would be the biggest show airing right now if it wasn't for its beautifully animated fight scenes? No. Oh no, I'm sorry. Don't cry, baby. I didn't mean it. It's not the only thing, but at the very least, it is a big draw. The only reason I stuck out over 1,000 episodes of One Piece was because the fight scenes were so good. Other types of cartoons do have fight scenes, but anime fight scenes are just on a whole other level. Like, goddamn. Watching some of this shit is like an orgasm for my eyes. There's just so much more you can do with a fight scene in animation. When you're not bogged down by stupid shit like gravity or physics, there are a ton of awesome shit shit you can incorporate into a fight. Like, the protagonist's enemy could just be a normal dude 1 second, then boom, with one power-up sequence, he's now a mile-long fucking dragon. Beat that, Hollywood. Alright, but before I start sucking anime's dick, let me tell you guys what pisses me off more than anything about anime. More than the pacing, more than the misogyny, more than the lollipops, damn it, even more than ending a show after only 1 season. This dumbass pan and zoom trick that every shonen ever uses. Like, whenever I see this, I just roll my eyes. It's just so lazy and boring. I mean, I get it. Animation takes a lot of time, and it's probably a lot cheaper and easier to throw a couple of these in during a fight scene to cut down on spending. But it just ends up ruining a lot of really awesome fights for me, and if they just expelled using this trick permanently, anime would become infinitely better. But even with that major flaw, I can't really hate on anime fight scenes too much. Almost all of my favorite fight scenes ever come from anime. Shit like Bleach, One Punch Man, Dragon Ball, Demon Slayer, One Piece, pretty much any high-budget shonen have the fight scene formula on lock. Why do you think with Marvel slowly dwindling in popularity, big media corporations are looking at anime to scratch that same itch for consumers? Shonen anime has the same core qualities and concepts that people like superhero movies for. Now, I'm not a Marvel fan at all. Even as a kid, I thought superhero movies were always pretty generic and boring cash grabs, so I never really got into them. But I mean, as far as fight scenes go, it's kind of hard to mess up a cool fight scene when you have an insane budget behind it like Marvel does, so there are some pretty good stuff in its genre, at least as far as fight scenes go. And I would say, honestly, it's the only real draw that Marvel has, because as I said earlier, the stories are pretty dime a dozen, and most people seem to recognize that now. So of course the fight scenes are gonna be big, they're gonna be badass, and they're going to look well produced. The last Marvel movie that I've personally seen was Endgame, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy a lot of the fight scenes that went on during the movie. Another thing I want to talk about is movies entirely dedicated to fighting. These are honestly some of the most fun movies ever, and a bunch of them rank in my personal favorites of all time. All killer, no filler, balls to the wall showdowns are consistently some of the most fun I've ever had while watching a film. Definitely have to say Bruce Lee in particular, as you can see from the thumbnail and the clips I've used in the video so far, is an all-time favorite for me, as well as being a favorite for many others as well. This man is just so badass. I've recently rewatched Enter the Dragon, and still to this day, it was so enjoyable to watch, and was definitely a huge inspiration for making this video. I feel like when fighting is the focus for a film, there's just a certain type of spirit carried throughout that a more conventional narrative movie just can't really imitate. Like, come on now, there was a reason everybody was kung fu fighting, okay? That shit does not happen on accident.
Change this into the Dragon Warrior, huh? Fuck you! You fucking...
But yeah, that's about gonna wrap up the video, guys. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. It really does help out a lot being a smaller creator myself. I put a decent amount of work into this video, so yeah. Even just sticking around to the end helps me out a great deal, so that's gonna about wrap up this video, and see you guys in the next one.